Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Yesterday was absolutely insane. You just saw what we reacted to together, right? The teaser of the teaser trailer of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut, that we'll be getting in full on DC Fandom tomorrow. Yes, just one day to go for DC Fandom, and all I can really say about Zack Snyder's teaser trailer of his Justice League movie, right, is imagine standing there, reading the words, "If you seek his monument, it's all around you." That's what Cal, aka Clark Kent, Superman, is standing there reading. Imagine reading that. He's back from the dead. He thought the world dismissed him, hated him, feared him, but he realizes he's been honored for his sacrifice. But we don't know what frame of mind Superman's going to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League, stroke Snyder Cut, stroke JL, whatever you want to damn well, bloody well call it. It's Justice League, right? End of story. Anyway, is he under the influence of Darkseid? Now, as you can see in that sequence, he's wearing the trousers with no top on, as he was in Justice League, right? But there's something very, very different going on there. Something very compelling going on there. Then we see Ray Fisher's Cyborg, before he becomes Cyborg, actually playing football. It was a neat little teaser, and we thought that was going to be our conversation of the day. A brilliant teaser of the teaser. I loved it, and it's got me even more hyped for Justice League and DC Fandom tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is Christmas Day for every DC fan. But if you thought that was it, brace yourselves. Because as you know by now, Ben Affleck will return as Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, in Andy Muschietti Flashpoint movie, starring the irrepressible, fantastic Ezra Miller, who is allowed to do April Fool's jokes. Yes, Batfleck is back. Will he or won't he return? That's been the kind of, conversation ever since Justice League. And then when we heard that Zack Snyder's Justice League, stroke Snyder Cut, stroke JL, was going to stream on HBO Max, we were asking the question, is it all coming back? Yes, it's all coming back. And here are the details. Look, this is unprecedented. There's no question about that. And this is something I heard about 3 or 4 days ago. I did my video last week about Ben Affleck maybe coming back, maybe not coming back. I wasn't sure at the time. I had no intel. But then about 4 or 5 days ago, it was fed to me. Of course, I was incredibly excited, but it was made absolutely clear to me by this source. If I said anything, I would never be fed anything again, and that's very, very important to me. This is a really good source, the best sources I have. She's fantastic, and I didn't want to disrespect that. But wow, from the moment I heard about this, I was so excited. And interestingly, this broke on Vanity Fair. This is a Vanity Fair exclusive. It looks like probably we're going to get a lot of stuff from these people because Andy Muschietti and his sister have both obviously got trust with Vanity Fair. It's a really great site. It's been around for a long time. Ben Affleck will return as Batman in The Flash. Those words. His Caped Crusader will appear along with Michael Keaton's in the upcoming movie, which explores a multiverse of DC Comics heroes. Imagine if Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton, both as Batman, standing together. I know it's probably not going to happen, but wow. This film is bigger than we ever thought because this is literally the relaunch of the DCEU. I mean, Zack Snyder's Justice League is that. I'm not saying it's not big or bigger or whatever's bigger, but this is massive. Batman forever strives for a chance to set things right. That may finally happen with Ben Affleck's version of the crime fighter. The Argo director's brooding Dark Knight is coming back for one more movie, with Affleck agreeing to return as Bruce Wayne in the upcoming big screen version of The Flash, Vanity Fair has learned. Portrayals of Batman always ignite furious debate. Among fans, Affleck's selection for the part continues to provoke intense discussion, even years after he first donned the cowl. Some love him, some disparage him, some refuse to see him in the role from the very beginning, while others consider him an underrated favourite who deserved more chances to play the role on screen. I think we all agree on that. Us, the family here, definitely agree on that, right? The Flash movie, which is planned for release in summer 2022, will feature fast-moving hyperhero Barry Allen, played by Ezra Miller, breaking the bonds of physics to crash into various parallel dimensions, where he'll encounter slightly different versions of DC's classic heroes. It's an adaptation of DC's 2011 Flashpoint series of comic book crossovers. Directed by Andy Muschietti, the filmmaker behind the recent adaptations of Stephen King's It and It Chapter 2. I think that's the thing as well. I think what other DC heroes could we get in this film as well? His Batman has a dissociation that is very strong. This is from Andy Muschietti, by the way, which is his masculinity because of the way he looks and the imposing figure that he has and his jawline. But he's also very vulnerable. Muschietti said in an interview, he knows how to deliver from the inside out. That vulnerability, he just needs a story that allows him to bring that contrast, that balance. Affleck got the script at the end of last week and agreed this week to join the project. He's a very substantial... This is not a cameo. So listen to what Andy's saying here. This is from Andy Muschietti. Not whispers, not rumours. This is fact, people. He's a very substantial part of the emotional impact of the movie. The interaction and relationship between Barry and Affleck's Wayne will bring an emotional level that we haven't seen before, the director added. It's Barry's movie, it's Barry's story, but their characters are more related than we think. They both lost their mothers to murder, and that's one of the emotional vessels of the movie. Wonderful, fantastic. That's where Affleck's Batman kicks in. Andy Muschietti again. I'm glad to be collaborating with someone who has been on both sides of the camera too, Muschietti said. He understands. Affleck won't be the only Batman making a comeback. A few more of the alternate dimension heroes who turn up in the Flash movie will be figures we've seen before. Michael Keaton's Batman from the '89 Tim Burton film is also set to appear in what Muschietti said was a substantial part. So both Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton have a substantial role in Andy Muschietti's Flashpoint movie. This is going to be bigger and better than we ever imagined. Remember when everyone was laughing when Andy was announced and they were saying, oh, how long will it be till he has creative differences? That was never going to be a situation with Walter Hamada running things. Since Walter has taken over, he has created great strides, but made sure he didn't move away totally from the Snyderverse. This is the clever thing here. This is what I like. They were obviously always in two minds, and they didn't. I don't think Walter ever felt like maybe it was the right thing to do to walk away from Zack. And I think these plans have been made since Walter Hamada took over. There's another reason the Flash needed the character affectionately known as Batfleck in DC's movie universe. Affleck's grey-templed Bruce Wayne is the one Ezra's Flash would consider the original Batman, the one he has already fought alongside in the previous Zack Snyder film. So don't forget, this film comes after Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut, JL. I'm saying all the terms and titles so nobody gets offended. Muschietti said it wouldn't work as well to him to venture into the company of other Batmen without having Affleck as the starting point. So Affleck is the starting point. Ben Affleck is still Batman in the DCEU. Let's be absolutely clear about that. without having Affleck as the starting point. He's the baseline. He's part of that unaltered state before we jump into Barry's adventure. The director says that familiarity there. Now, what happens to Batfleck? This is the big question that they're not going to answer right now. What happens to Batfleck afterwards? Is this part of the change of the DCEU where he won't be there anymore? Now, this is my opinion. Once you bring Ben back as Batman, you can't get rid of him. People are hungry now. Now, AT&T understand that, I'm sure, and they're not going to do anything stupid here. DC has still other motivations for exploring this story. Batman is too valuable a character to leave fallow for long, and new actors will forever be stepping into the role by threading the concept of a multiverse into its DC storyline. Warner Brothers is attempting to create a way for all the competing factions of its fandom to coexist together. I told you this from the very, very beginning when Zack Snyder's Justice League, JL, Snyder Cut, was announced. They are going to do everything. They are going to please you at the back. They're going to please everyone. This is the idea, and it's genius. Unlike the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Star Wars, in which everything is designed to be part of the same canon, the multiverse approach can allow projects to vary greatly in tone or feature different actors while still being threaded together. We'll talk about that in a minute. Keeping a broad coalition of fans from battling over what is legitimate is one of the biggest challenges for studios managing franchises with vast appeal and decades of history. Sony's animated Into the Spider-Verse also helped popularize the alternate dimension concept, introducing Miles Morales' character to a host of different Spider-Folk. So far, the multiverse approach has helped DC both differentiate itself and revisit the same characters without being accused of rebooting or erasing recent favourites. DC TV shows such as Arrow, Batwoman, Black Lightning and Supergirl have done crossover events, and a few months ago the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline laid the groundwork for the multiverse concept, with Miller's movie Flash making an appearance in the story by coming face to face with the TV Flash played by Grant Gustin, who I believe has also a substantial part to play in Andy Muschietti's Flashpoint movie. They're banding everything together as this multiverse strategy. And anyone who isn't excited for this, I don't know what to give you, right? This movie is a bit of a hinge in the sense that it presents a story that implies a unified universe where all the cinematic iterations that we've seen before are valid. Muschietti said. Let me repeat what Andy just said. This movie is a bit of a hinge in the sense that it presents a story that implies a unified universe where all the cinematic iterations that we've seen before are valid. Muschietti said, yes, Andy, this is what everyone wants. This is genius. This is amazing. It's inclusive in the sense that it is saying that all you've seen exists and everything that you will see exists in the same unified multiverse. This is massive. The crossover capacity of this multiverse strategy is genius. That doesn't mean there aren't still intense disagreements in the fandom, and the return of Batfleck is sure to launch countless takes. I don't care. Affleck was cast in Batman in late August of 2013, and the debate over his presence hasn't let up even after two movies with Snyder Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice and Justice League, and one cameo in Suicide Squad. His take will also get a new approach in the famed Snyder Cut of Justice League, which will appear on HBO Max, restoring the original director's vision before the film was handed off to Joss Whedon to complete a version of the film that seems to have left no one happy. Affleck had previously signed to direct and star in a standalone film called The Batman, but ultimately left the project after saying that its demands were taking too much of a personal toll. At the time he parted ways with the film, he was also dealing with the end of his marriage to Jennifer Garner, the wonderful, compassionate, talented Jennifer Garner. I can't say enough things about Jenny. She's been a friend, a sister, a wife to Ben. Without this woman, there is no Ben Affleck. Let's be absolutely clear here. This woman is one of my favourite actors. She was in one of my favourite TV shows of all time, Alias. I want to cry when I think about what she's done for Ben. because of his alcoholism, he cheated on her, but she was still there. She was still there protecting him from the press, telling them to go away so he could recuperate. This woman is an angel. And struggling with alcoholism. I showed somebody the Batman script Affleck told the New York Times. They said, I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again. Barbara Machete. Now, this is Andy's sister. They work very close together. Now, this has Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder all over it, this appointment, in a way. You've got Zack and Deb, a working couple. You've got Christopher Nolan and Emma Nolan, or Emma Thomas, should I say, who work very close as a couple. And now we've got this brother and sister working together. This has Zack Snyder's fingerprints all over it, and I love it. Because the more interactive you are with each other, the more you know each other, you can make beautiful decisions. Barbara Machete, the producer of The Flash and sister and longtime collaborator of the director, told Vanity Fair she had worried this might make him reluctant to return at all. There have been all sorts of stories and things he said himself about having a very hard time playing Batman. And it had been difficult for him, she said. I think it was more about a difficult time in his life. Exactly. It wasn't about Batman didn't do this to him. DC fans didn't do this to him. DC didn't do this to him. His illness, his disease did that. And now he's got control of it. And let's hope he keeps control of it. She said, I think it was more of a difficult time in his life. When we approached him, he's now in a very different time in his life. He was very open to it, which was a bit of a surprise to us. It was a question mark. It was a question mark for all of us. I always said to you, I didn't know what way this was going to go because I didn't know how Ben himself was feeling. And I always said to all of you, this is something, whatever happens, whatever way this goes, because he was always going to be approached, it's something we have to respect. But, he's not just doing this for himself. He's got up-team projects. The guy doesn't need this, but he does. He needs it because he loves DC. He loves Batman, and he wants to do this, and he wants to keep on playing this character. It's absolutely phenomenal. Ben Affleck, I tweeted you yesterday. I said this. Thank you, not just from me, from my subscribers and all the fans I don't talk to and don't know who have been, praying for this, wanting this more than anything. These movies are our lives, BVS and MOS. We talk about them for hours. And what you have done, Ben, you have given us a bigger gift than anyone could ever give us. And thank you very much. We are all human and go through great times in our lives and terrible times in our lives, she added. Right now, he's in a place where he can actually enjoy being Batman. Plus, he doesn't have to carry the entire movie. It's a pivotal role, but at the same time, it's a fun part, she said. Filmmaker Matt Reeves, the Planet of the Apes movies, is now making The Batman with Pattinson as the lead. And that film was in the midst of shooting when the coronavirus lockdown hit, and the production is set to resume in the fall, which is September. Although a standalone film for Batfleck didn't happen, Although a standalone film for Batfleck didn't happen, his admirers continue to champion Affleck's take on the character. With The Flash, they'll get to see him answer the bat signal at least once more. At least once more. But we don't know if it's not it. It's not it, right? Wow. Thank you to Vanity Fair. You did a great article. It gave me great detail. It's the first time I read it. I didn't want to read it until we did it together. I like experiencing this stuff together. Wow. And this was by Anthony Bretsnicken. Thank you, Anthony. A great article. Well, what do we say about that? It's shocking. It's amazing. It feels like Christmas. Anyone seen The Muppet Christmas Carol? I love that film. Anyway, back down to earth. As I say, this is unprecedented. When I found out this news 4 or 5 days ago, I was very excited and I wanted to tell you all. I wanted to start laying breadcrumbs. But as I say, sources are very important in this game. And I've told you before, don't look at my followers. Don't look at the interactions. I do have connections. I do know people within the industry. So I don't name boast because people are my friends, right? And they deserve, to have their privacy. And you don't boast about friendships. If someone's your friend, you don't boast about it, right? You have a relationship, right? Anyway, so I kept it to myself. And considering my YouTube name is Big Mouth, that's amazing. So never judge me by the amount of views I get I know stuff. This was one secret I couldn't tell you before. I've told you stuff which has come true. Some of it's come true, some of it hasn't. That's the life of a YouTuber or someone who deals with this stuff, right? But this is not a job to me. You know, I'm a DC fan. I'm a fan of entertainment, TV dramas, films. This means everything. We didn't know if this was ever going to happen. I don't want to undersell this because this is amazing. As I said at the top of the show, this is not a rumour. Vanity Fair have got, quotes from Andy and Barbara Machete. It's amazing. Let me just say about Andy and Barbara, I love you. The way you conduct yourself, the way you talk to the... Barbara is brilliant online. She talks to the fans. She answers questions. She's spot on. This is the new DC cinematic universe. Interactive filmmakers, interactive creatives. Fandom proves that itself, right? We are going to have an interactive shared universe. Now, there's been talk about films like Wonder Woman 84 being, constrained in their own world. But this Flashpoint movie proves that we are going shared universe. They are mocking the multiverse, the DC cinematic universe. Everything you've ever seen exists. No reboots, right? No red pill, green pills, nothing to make you forget. Everything exists. And any actor who's still alive, and hey, with CGI now, we may see Christopher Reeve in Flashpoint as well. Who knows? I would be up for it, but I would respect his... for example, his children, that's their decision on that, of course. But this is massive. So even before Fandom, we have found out that Batfleck returns, that Batfleck is back. Now, if this is the curtain raiser to Fandom, what have we got to look forward to? This means, because we've seen the trailer, we've seen the top secret file, we know there's still huge announcements. Imagine the kind of announcements we're going to get tomorrow, right? Because what Batfleck's return tells you and tells me that anything is possible. DC is the biggest IP Warner Brothers have now, right? It's the biggest IP, and they've got some massive ones there, right? They really have, and they're going to integrate those, and they're going to do the same thing. So AT&T are amazing, right? What they're doing proves they're a company with brains. But we are getting an amazing universe, a rebirth of the DCEU that brings everything together. The multiverse. Things from films we saw as kids and TV shows. One of the biggest things we saw, should have given us a clue, was Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin standing on the same stage, in the same scene, in the same room, talking to each other about each other's costumes. Wow. That was just the beginning. That's when we should have known that we were going to get Zack Snyder's Justice League and we were going to get everything else. Everything stands now. And what's brilliant about this, do you love Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor? He's coming. I'm telling you, he's coming. You like Eisenberg's Lex Luthor? He's coming back. It doesn't matter if some of you don't like him, because you're going to have a Lex you like, maybe a brand new version, an older version. Everything is possible in this multiverse strategy. It is absolutely fantastic. Do you know what? I wanted to bring you this video about Batfleck yesterday, but I just uploaded yesterday's DCEU Daily. I'm so busy here at the moment. And I just thought, let's do it in one video. Let's take our time, because it's such a special moment. This is confetti time. This is Christmas. This is celebration time. You know, just finishing off today's video, you know, there's a lot of good people who have been fighting. The dismantling of Snyder's DCEU was one of the most grossest things that ever happened in the film industry, because people loved it. There's no way we would be getting all this stuff back. Batfleck, Snyder, Cavill, right? And we are getting Cavill. There's no question about that. In one form or another, Cavill's Superman is coming back. But the point is, if the DCEU, in terms of Batman versus Superman, Man of Steel, you know, Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman weren't popular, we wouldn't be here if it didn't have admirers and fans and consumers who loved it. But the old regime of Warner Brothers didn't see that. All they saw was, we want $2 billion a movie. It doesn't matter if the movie's good. It's the MCU effect. It doesn't matter if an MCU film is just a one and done movie. You watch it once, then you forget it. It makes $1 million, it makes $1 billion, it makes $2 billion. It doesn't matter. But what AT&T are doing, they're saying, we're not going to have any filler episodes. We're in the multiverse strategy now where anything is possible. Sit back, boys and girls, and everybody else. Drink a coffee. Smoke a cigar in celebration because Ben Affleck is back. Batfleck returns, and in 2022, him and Michael Keaton could very well be standing on screen together as two Batmen fighting together, uniting with Barry Allen. And there's going to be a version of Superman in this movie as well. What version? Because we know the Flashpoint Superman is very, very different. Skinny, weak, very different. He has a different origin story. So look, this film is massive. This could be a 3-hour epic because I think this is the restructuring of the DC cinematic universe. And let's see how they do that. What does this mean for Pattinson's Batman? You know, Robert Pattinson's Batman. He's part of the If you don't think he's part of the multiverse strategy, you are wrong. And someone, I forgot who said it, I think it was an IGN correspondent saying, as excited as I am for Batfleck to come back, it just means everyone's not going to care about the Batman. It doesn't mean that at all. The Batman will be released next year. Batfleck's return in Flashpoint is a year later, or just over a year later, or whatever, right? Nothing is being left behind. We are not competitors anymore. The DC multiverse cinematic universe is together. You love that. I love that. You love that. You love me. You're getting everything. Well, apart from me, apart from daily on these videos, so you can get your dose of me. This is a time for celebration, for unification. If you're a DC fan, you should get arm in arm with another DC fan. Unblock those DC fans that you've blocked. And let's unite together. Because we're all going to get everything we want. This is really ambitious by AT&T and Warner Media. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And it goes to show that people who said there was more chance of Ryan Reynolds playing Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League than Ben Affleck returning as Batman, you were wrong. Now, as I've said, I'd love to see Reynolds back as Green Lantern, maybe in his own show or maybe in a movie. And maybe that's going to happen. I don't want that to be wrong because I'd love that to happen. But never write anything off in the entertainment industry because we are in an industry, we work within an industry where anything is possible. Things are changing. And Warner Media could be the only place where we do live in a fair kind of world of entertainment. And I'm going to read something out from Ray Fisher because now there isn't an official investigation into what happened. Yes, I nearly forgot about this and I nearly was going to switch off the video. I knew there was something, but yes, Ray Fisher announced yesterday that Warner Media are going to launch an investigation into what happened during the reshoots of Justice League. So this is the official statement from Ray Fisher in a 2-tweet post. After 5 weeks of interviews with various cast and crew, Warner Media has officially launched an independent third-party investigation to get to the heart of the toxic and abusive work environment created during Justice League reshoots. This is a massive step forward, I agree. I believe this investigation will show that Jeff Johns, Joss Whedon and John Berg and others grossly abused their power during the uncertainty of AT&T's merger with Time Warner. Thank you, Warner Media and AT&T, for making strides to ensure a safer workplace for all. This was always going to happen, boys and girls and everybody else, because at the end of the day, Warner Media just kicked down the door of the Ellen Show. None of you are safe working under the logo Warner Media AT&T. They are going to stamp out all these practices. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, doesn't matter what your gender is, what your colour is, you are not safe if you've been abusing the people who work under you on a set. if it's your crew, if it's your actors, it doesn't matter. You are going to be found out and you are going to be out on your ear. This is why AT&T and the newly formed Warner Media, what they're doing in terms of putting the customer first, because it's what AT&T have always done under their other companies. This is why they're so successful, by the way. Don't care about DirecTV. Everyone makes mistakes, right? But it wasn't a mistake for this company to buy Time Warner. In fact, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to any fan of Warner Brothers and anything, any IP that they own. I believe from the very beginning when Ray Fisher was talking, and I told you this weeks ago, he was under orders from AT&T and Warner Media to do this, to start shining the light and telling and, basically reflecting it to the audience, the consumer, the public, what's going on, that they do not tolerate abuse on their set. Now, last week, Ray Fisher made a statement about Jeff Johns being called to his office, and I made a video saying, I said something along the lines of put up or shut up, because I am kind of fed up of listening to unsubstantiated kind of quotes and comments. It's not what I want. I want to know what happened. If Ray and the rest of the people involved in the Justice League reshoots were abused, which is pretty clear, it happened. We need evidence. We need people to come forward. I don't like whispers and I don't like hearsay about things like this, because these are people's careers we're talking about. So if they did this, and it's pretty clear, I believe they did. So I never did not stand with Ray Fisher. I always stood with Ray Fisher. I love Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher is a great guy. And I said that on my video before you start holding receipts against me. This is a good thing. But as I said, and I hope, they go back and have a look at the treatment of Clayne Crawford on the Lethal Weapon set, right? Because that man lost his job. And Warner Brothers TV lost a great show because of the abuse that was going on and the pressure Clayne Crawford was under, which actually made Clayne admitted himself he acted improperly because of the pressure he was under as well. So I hope we can have a look at that and maybe even have a look at bringing the Lethal Weapon TV show back, because the way Clayne was treated, but basically everything. And I told you last year, and I have to say this, I have to hold this trophy up. I told you, Ann Sarnoff was investigating the whole Zack Snyder removal situation from the very beginning, and they were going to take it, look at the evidence and see, and weigh up and see, was it fair that Zack was forced out of DC and out of his movies and out of his vision? And it clearly wasn't fair, was it? So now justice is being done, and now Whedon and Jeff Johns are being investigated, apparently. How do I see this happening? I think in terms of Jeff Johns, what he'll have to do is he'll have to make an official apology when he's proven to have acted improperly. I don't think he'll lose his job. I don't know where John Berg is now. I think he's got a production company somewhere. In terms of Joss Whedon, he will never work again, because he was the one on the set. He was the one, doing, inflicting the real abuse. So Joss Whedon will never work again. And I think that's the key thing here, especially if he's guilty. But congratulations to Ray Fisher for pushing for this. But at the end of the day, Warner Media were always going to do this. This is a company like no other studio and company in Hollywood right now. They are not virtue signalers. They don't just say they want toxicity out of their industry. They are doing something about it. And even with all that, we've just had the greatest news of all time, that Ben Affleck will return as Batman. I couldn't be happier. Tomorrow is a massive day, because tomorrow is DC Fandom Day. But when I wake up, I'm going to have to wait for very late at night for all this to kick off. And then we really get going. It's the biggest day of any nerd's life, especially if you're a DC fan. And Superman fans, tomorrow is our day. Don't think we're not going to get anything. We will. They're saving the best till last, because August the 22nd day is Superman Day. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon. I'm happy.